Leaders of the southern Latin America and the Caribbean stressed the importance of finding a peaceful solution to the crisis in Syria without any foreign intervention. Russia and Iran insist that the solution in Syria can be achieved only through dialogue among all Syrian sides. Clashes in Egypt continue as 52 people were injured during the last 24 hours. Good afternoon and welcome to our news for today. Leaders of the CELAC group, which comprises Southern American and Caribbean states, have affirmed the need to find a peaceful solution to the crisis in Syria without foreign intervention in its affairs. At the conclusion of their first summit meeting with EU member states in Santiago, the capital of Chile, the leaders and prime ministers of the 60 states taking part in the summit expressed their deep concern over the situation in Syria. They particularly referred to the humanitarian situation resulting from the big number of Syrians who have been displaced, calling for ending violence and starting a comprehensive political process led by the Syrians themselves to be strongly supported by the world community. The participants called on the UN Secretary General, the Security Council and the world community to intensify their efforts to end the violence in Syria in order to reach a peaceful solution that brings about prosperity and stability to the Syrian people and preserves the country's territorial integrity and independence in accordance with the objectives and principles of the UN Charter. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has affirmed that the Geneva document needs no clarification or explanation, as it clearly and simply stipulates that all sides must stop the violence and name their negotiators so that the structure of the Temporary Leadership Commission would be formed and its tasks defined. We are determined to go ahead on the basis of the Geneva Statement, Lavrov added. Iranian Foreign Minister Ali Akbar Salehi has reiterated his country's stand that there is no solution to the crisis in Syria except through dialogue among all the Syrian parties. In a joint press conference with his Omani counterpart Youssef bin Alawi in Tehran today, the Iranian minister said, "Everybody sees the international recruitment against Syria aimed at realizing specific political purposes, namely the toppling of the regime to serve narrow interests. However, other places like Bahrain and other states which face the same circumstances are not a center of attention. This contradiction indicates how certain political issues are used in service of other interests." Salehi also said the true opposition is that which seeks a solution that serves the interests of the Syrian people who are confronting terrorists and armed men. French politicians and experts have referred to Qatar's involvement in funding terrorist groups in Syria, Libya, Mali and other areas in an attempt on its part to find a role to play on the international political arena. Head of the French Center in charge of intelligence researchers, Eric Denisi, said in an article published by the Palestinian Al-Manar Daily that Qatar played many roles in areas where Islamic groups existed, as it is the case in Libya and Qatar. Denisi said the relations between Qatar and the armed groups are not new, as this oil state has funded extremist schools and societies in a number of countries in order to use them in service of its own projects that are no more a secret to anyone. The armed terrorist groups in Syria have refused a request by the world community to get rid of the terrorist Al-Qaeda-linked al-Nusra Front at the pretext that the front came to Syria to protect Syrian blood. Meanwhile, the British Times Daily said Foreign Secretary William Hague would propose alleviating the embargo imposed on military supplies to Syria during the meeting of the EU foreign ministers in Brussels next Thursday, with a view of supporting the Syrian opposition with military equipment. It is to be noted that the terrorist al-Nusra Front had claimed responsibility for most of the explosions that targeted government headquarters and residential areas in Syrian cities, killed and wounded hundreds of citizens, and caused huge material damage to public and private properties. Units of the armed forces targeted terrorist gatherings in Busr al-Harir town in Dara countryside and destroyed their weapons and ammunition. An official source told Sana reporter that security and stability were restored to the area after eliminating the terrorists. In Idlib, an army unit intercepted an armed terrorist group at the eastern entrance of the city in Al-Arba'in mountain, killing a number of them and destroying their vehicles. In Homs, an army unit destroyed car carrying terrorists and ammunition near Al-Hashimiyya school in Jurat al-Shayyah. The Arab Syrian army was also able to destroy 2 vehicles equipped with Doshka machine guns in Ain Hussein village, eliminating a number of gunmen. In Al-Hasaka, our borders troops repelled, killed and wounded terrorists who had attacked Barricade 47 in Ash-Shaddada area in the governorate's suburbs. Moreover, armed men took control of the main warehouse of Al-Hasaka Electricity Company and stole the parts of 9 transformers, damaging them completely. In cooperation with the inhabitants, an army unit has seized Israeli-made foodstuffs in Al-Jamiliya neighborhood in Aleppo coming from Turkey.